About 150 miles south of here, not a mile away from Lake Michigan, sits the North Shore. It's one of the most affluent areas in Illinois and in the country. It's also home to Nutcher High School, a nationally ranked high school since its inception in 1908. It has a 99% graduation rate into four-year colleges, and it's in the top 3 schools for GPA in Illinois. I know because I went there how hard and how intense and competitive this high school can be, but don't be fooled by this impressive facade. Because in 1996, Time magazine did an expose on marijuana usage at New Trier, and what they found was pretty shocking. 87% of students, that's freshmen through seniors, had smoked marijuana in the past month, and 73% had smoked more than once in the past month. So you tell me how these stoners can grow up to be some of the most creative and successful people in the country. I'm Meredith Johnson, and today I'm here to tell you about how legalizing marijuana can boost our economy and to dispel all the myths about the ever-elusive Mary Jane. As currently stated by federal law, marijuana is a Schedule I drug, meaning it's illegal to consume, grow, or sell in the United States. But you may be surprised to hear that up until the 1920s, it was used and heavily medicated as a pain relief, and it was recreationally used by thousands of indigenous societies and our own founding fathers. So though some believe that legalizing marijuana will create a surge in addicts and push users to harder drugs, recent studies show that addiction rates are considerably low for such a highly addictive drug, and the economic boost from tax marijuana would outweigh the suggested healthcare cost hikes. Opponents of legalization do raise good points. Tony Dokapil, the author of High Times in America, reports that if we do legalize, addiction rates will rise a suggested 21%, and in turn, to help put these people in rehab, healthcare costs will raise $35 million, outweighing any possible benefits that marijuana legalization would have. We'll discuss the health aspect more in depth later, but what Mr. Dokapil does not understand is that marijuana is not highly addictive whatsoever, and the economic advantages that we will get from taxing marijuana can give the government billions of dollars. According to Joe Klein, the author of Why Legalizing Weed Makes Sense, marijuana is the biggest cash crop in California. There's an estimated $14 billion revenue a year in California alone. So if we tax that 10%, that's $1.4 billion a year, completely destroying the $35 million that we have to get and that will raise because of marijuana legalization. And that's just in California. Alan St. Pierre, the executive of a lobbying group trying to legalize, points out that marijuana reforms are actually very popular now because of the recession. State departments don't want to be putting small misdemeanors for marijuana possessors in jail because that's a waste of money. They want the big criminals, not just the people in possession of marijuana. And though the economic benefits are great, some people still worry about health risks. Currently, there's a 9% risk of dependence rate, according to the National Institute of Drug Abuse. They also explain that you should not drive or engage in difficult tasks like, say, taking a test or going to an interview, because it does temporarily alter your perception, mood, and influences emotion. But that's the same really for any other kind of drug that is legal already in America. Amy Ronshausen, manager of Congressional Affairs for Drug-Free America, believes that if we legalize, usage will go up. And that's true, but that's true for any legalization of any kind of drug. But where she goes wrong is she proceeds to say that marijuana is a gateway drug, which means that if people use marijuana, they're more likely to try harder drugs like cocaine and heroin. And these are the stats that make lawmakers not want to pass marijuana as a legal drug. There are so many lethal drugs already out there, so why would they want to legalize another one? But that's just it. It's not lethal. There have been countless studies done to try and determine which drug is more harmful, weed or alcohol. And from my research, I found that studies done in 1989 by a research panel for the state of California, 2002 by a Canadian Senate committee, and 2007 by the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare all found that the effects of marijuana are much less serious than those of alcohol. And it comes down to the fact that you physically cannot overdose on marijuana. In the US, there are 79,000 alcohol overdose deaths a year. And that's just it. I mean, if alcohol is already legal, then who's to say that? I mean, it's just, the facts are there. And let's not forget to mention why it was medicated in the first place. The pain relief that marijuana has given to millions of cancer patients, HIV positive people, and people with chronic pain totally outweighs the risks of the health that marijuana poses. So, to recap, taxing and not jailing those who are in possession of marijuana will save the government millions, and we can make such a big profit from taxing marijuana, even by just a little percent. And the health benefits like pain relief outweigh any risks whatsoever. It's much less dangerous than alcohol. And if all of the intelligent, hardworking students at New Trier can smoke and be functioning members of society, who's to say that we all can't be? Thank you.